Hello and welcome to Byju's IAS and welcome to our daily quiz. Before we begin today's discussion, we would like to issue a small clarification regarding yesterday's daily quiz. For question number 5, related to minor minerals, yesterday Sir had discussed that the correct answer is option D, that is 1, 2 and 3. But kindly make a correction over here. The right answer should have been option A, 1 and 3 only. So with this, let's get started with the daily quiz for today. The first question: which of the following statements are correct? The Model Code of Conduct is a set of guidelines issued by the Election Commission to regulate political parties and candidates during elections. It is operational from 1 month prior to elections to the date of result announcement. These guidelines are legally enforceable. Amongst the given statements, the second and third statements are incorrect, so the right answer is option A, 1 only. See, the Model Code of Conduct is a set of guidelines that the Election Commission has been issuing since the 1960s, and it was first introduced during the state elections of Kerala. Later, it has been extended to national elections and to state elections across the country. And through these guidelines, the Election Commission seeks to regulate the political parties and candidates during elections. But however, these guidelines become operational from the date of announcement of the elections and not from 1 month prior to elections, and it extends till the date of result announcement. So this makes the second statement incorrect. And even the third statement is incorrect because the Model Code of Conduct is not legally enforceable by the Election Commission of India. See, these guidelines help the Election Commission to fulfill its mandate under Article 324 of the Constitution, which makes the Election Commission responsible for the conduct of free and fair elections in the country. So, to ensure the free and fair conduct of elections, the Election Commission issues a set of guidelines known as the Model Code of Conduct, which applies to the political parties and as well as on the contesting candidates. It contains provisions relating to general conduct during elections. For example, it prohibits using caste and communal feelings to secure votes. It prohibits the bribing or intimidation of voters, etc. It also provides for restrictions with regard to political meetings, processions, and how the parties and candidates should behave on the polling day and near the polling booths. It also places certain restrictions on the party in power, that is the government, in order to ensure that the government machinery is not misused for unfairly helping the party in power. So these guidelines brought out by the Election Commission helps in the conduct of free and fair elections, but however, it is not legally enforceable because MCC does not have any statutory backing, but over the years it has gained a lot of strength due to the strict enforcement of these guidelines by the Election Commission. To enforce some of the guidelines, the Election Commission issues notices, and it can even invoke corresponding provisions in other laws such as the Indian Penal Code, the CRPC, the Representation of the People Act, etc. The Election Commission has argued against making it legally binding because according to it, elections will have to be completed within a short period of time, within around 45 days, and if judicial proceedings are allowed, it would typically take a longer duration and therefore it is not feasible to make it enforceable by law. So coming back to the question, statements 2 and 3 are incorrect and hence option A is the right answer. We took up this topic for discussion because the Hindu carries an article according to which the Election Commission has warned two officers for violating the Model Code of Conduct. Now let's look at the second question. Which of the following statements are incorrect? The International Institute for Democracy and Electoral Assistance, or International IDEA, is an intergovernmental organization that works to support and strengthen democratic institutions and processes around the world to develop sustainable, effective, and legitimate democracies. It is based out of Stockholm and is an official UN observer. India is seeking membership to this organization. Amongst the given statements, the third statement is incorrect and hence option C is the right answer because the question is asking you to identify the incorrect statements. See, International IDEA is an intergovernmental organization based out of Stockholm, and it works towards strengthening democracies and elections around the world. It also holds an official observer status at the United Nations. And India is one of the founding members of this institution. So this clearly makes the third statement incorrect. India is not seeking membership. India is already a member of this organization. So option C is the right answer. This question on international IDEA was taken up because according to this article in the Hindu, former Chief Election Commissioner of India, Sunil Arora, has joined the International Institute for Democracy and Electoral Assistance as one of its board of advisors. Now let's look at the third question. What are the key objectives of the new restructured scheme of Rashtriya Gram Swaraj Abhiyan? Developing and strengthening the capacities of Panchayati Raj institutions or PRIs for rural local governance to become more responsive towards local development needs. Preparing the participatory plans for PRIs that leverage technology and ensure efficient and optimum utilization of available resources. Realizing sustainable solutions to local problems at the panchayat level to achieve the sustainable development goals. All the three statements are correct, and hence option D is the right answer. See, in the 2016-17 budget, the finance minister announced the launch of the new restructured scheme of Rashtriya Gram Swaraj Abhiyan. Through this restructuring, the government has repurposed the scheme to develop and strengthen the capacities of PRIs for improving rural local governance and for ensuring that these local institutions become more responsive towards local development needs. The scheme also aims to enable PRIs to prepare local level participatory plans to leverage technology and to ensure better utilization of available resources. And all these objectives of the Rashtriya Gram Swaraj Abhiyan have been designed by keeping in mind the sustainable development goals that have been laid down by the United Nations. So this makes all the three statements correct. So option D is the right answer. We took up this discussion on the Rashtriya Gram Swaraj Abhiyan because it finds a mention in this press release from the Ministry of Panchayati Raj. According to this article, the Union Minister for Rural Development and Panchayati Raj has released the localization of SDGs through Panchayati Raj institutions report. See, India being a signatory to the Sustainable Development Goals of 2030, it is committed to achieving the 17 targets that have been laid down by the United Nations. In order to focus on those targets which are related to rural development and local governance, India has restructured the Rashtriya Gram Swaraj Abhiyan scheme, and through this scheme it aims to achieve the SDG targets by providing for participatory local governance and planning at the Gram Panchayat level. So these efforts of Panchayati Raj institutions towards achieving the SDG targets is documented in this report, which has been released by the Union Minister for Rural Development and Panchayati Raj. Now let's look at the fourth question. What is the significance of NASA's LCRD mission? It aims to deflect an asteroid by intentionally crashing a spacecraft into it. It is NASA's first ever laser communication system that will help the agency test optical communication in space. It is aimed at understanding the concentration of greenhouse gases in the Earth's atmosphere. It is designed to robotically expand the existing International Space Station. The correct answer is option B. The option A describes the recently launched DART mission. The DART mission of NASA is aimed at the test of planetary defense technologies against any asteroids or against any space-based object which could pose a potential threat to Earth. In the DART mission, NASA is trying to deflect an asteroid by intentionally crashing a spacecraft into it. Whereas the LCRD mission, which has been referred to in the question, happens to be the first ever laser communication system of NASA, which will help the agency test optical communication in space. This topic was taken up for discussion because the Indian Express carries an explained article which helps us understand the significance of the LCRD mission of NASA. See, currently most of NASA's spacecraft uses radio frequency communication to transmit data back to Earth. But radio frequency communications have a few disadvantages and they can be overcome by using optical communication. Because optical communication will help increase the bandwidth to 10 to 100 times more than radio frequency systems. Because see, laser communications and radio waves, they use different wavelengths of light to transmit data. And since laser uses infrared light, and since it has a shorter wavelength compared to radio waves, it helps in the transmission of more data in a shorter period of time. According to NASA, it would take roughly 9 weeks to transmit a completed map of Mars back to Earth by using the current radio frequency systems. But with laser-based optical communication system, this transmission time can be brought down to just around 9 days. Then also, optical communication systems have other advantages, such as they are smaller in size and weight, and they require lesser power compared to radio frequency instruments. The smaller size of the communication system means that there is more space for other payloads and instruments, and the lower weight will also reduce the launch cost. And since they consume lower power, it also saves the batteries, and thus laser-based optical communication provides for unparalleled advantages over radio frequency communication systems. Now let's take up a practice question from the 2016 prelims paper. Consider the following: Calcutta Unitarian Committee, Tabernacle of New Dispensation, Indian Reform Association. Keshav Chandra Sen is associated with the establishment of which of the above? The correct answer is option B, 2 and 3 only. See, Keshav Chandra Sen was a leading Hindu philosopher and social reformer of the 1800s, and he is known for his works for attempting to incorporate Christian theology within the framework of Hindu thought. He was born in 1838 in the Bengal Presidency, and to further his work, he established the Tabernacle of New Dispensation in 1868, and he also established the Indian Reform Association in 1870. Whereas the Calcutta Unitarian Committee was established much before the birth of Keshav Chandra Sen in the 1820s by Rajaram Mohan Roy, Dwaraknath Tagore, and William Adam. Now coming to the fact of the day, let's talk about the BrahMos cruise missile. This topic is in news because according to this press release from the Ministry of Defense, the air version of BrahMos supersonic cruise missile has been successfully test fired from the Sukhoi 30 MKI fighter jets off the coast of Odisha. At the integrated test range of DRDO located at Chandipur off the coast of Odisha, the air-launched version of BrahMos has been tested, and this represents a major milestone in the development and induction of the air variant of the BrahMos. See, the BrahMos is a medium-range ramjet supersonic cruise missile that can be launched from multiple platforms, including submarines, ships, aircraft, or even from land. It is considered to be one of the world's fastest supersonic cruise missiles, and it is powered by a two-stage propulsion system which has a solid propellant rocket for initial acceleration and a liquid-fueled ramjet engine, which is essentially a air-breathing engine that provides for sustained supersonic cruise. Such air-breathing ramjet engines provide an advantage as they are more fuel efficient compared to rocket propulsion, and this gives the BrahMos a longer range as compared to a purely rocket-powered missile. This missile has been developed as a joint venture between India and Russia, under which India's DRDO has partnered with its Russian counterpart, and they have jointly established BrahMos Aerospace for this purpose. The missile has been named after two prominent rivers of India and Russia, that is the Brahmaputra and the Moskova. The surface-launched and ship-launched versions of BrahMos have already been inducted into service by the Indian Army and the Indian Navy, and as well as by the Russian Navy. The air-launched variant of BrahMos is being inducted into the Indian Air Force, and the final stages of testing is taking place. Then India and Russia have even launched a project to develop BrahMos 2, which would be a hypersonic version of the missile, which can travel at hypersonic speeds of Mach 7 to Mach 8, thus significantly boosting the aerial strike capability of the missile. See, initially, when the first version of BrahMos was developed, its range was limited to under 300 kilometers because India was not yet a member of MTCR, or the Missile Technology Control Regime. MTCR is essentially an export control regime which places restrictions on its members from exporting components and technologies related to certain category of missiles and drones. Russia, being a member of MTCR, was bound by its restrictions, and as India was not a member, it was not eligible for receiving this technology from Russia. But in 2016, India became a member of MTCR, and since then both the countries are working towards extending the range of the BrahMos missile. So they are looking to extend the range of BrahMos missiles from 800 to 1500 kilometers. And given its ability to fly at very low altitudes of just around 5 meters, these missiles can cruise by almost hugging the surface of the Earth, thus helping it evade radar detection. And it can even cruise at a maximum altitude of 15,000 meters. So this low altitude and high altitude capability of BrahMos, combined with its very high cruise speed, gives it better target penetration characteristics. And its extremely high speed also means that it cannot be easily intercepted by some of the existing missile defense systems, thus making it a very lethal attack cruise missile. Because of its high speed and precision, it is often used for precision targeted strikes against terror camps or against enemy base camps or enemy ships. Considering these capabilities of the BrahMos, several countries in Southeast Asia and as well as in Latin America have shown interest in procuring the BrahMos, but India and Russia are yet to export the BrahMos to other countries. So with this, let's conclude our discussion for today. Thanks for watching.